Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Paul, the Canadian Snowman, here with castles. Honestly, ever since I started doing this channel, before I even did the first video of this channel, I wanted to do this video. It's been staring at me ever since I started on this channel, as far as, Epic Histories channel. And it's not like part of a series or anything, but I thought it was a really cool, fun video to do because if I had the money, if I was a millionaire, I would definitely love a house that looked like a castle, like built like a castle where you kind of can walk around on top and you have like to look out, and I don't know, they look really cool. They are really cool. It'd be cool to have like a castle with secret passageways and that kind of stuff. It said how to build the perfect castle. I'm pretty sure it's not going to talk about that kind of stuff. I mean, here it's probably going to talk about like probably moats, and from this picture here, probably like, I guess, extra walls to fortify it, from a siege, I guess. The strategic things about building a castle, I'm pretty sure. I'm not pretty sure, but that's what comes to mind when you think about, the perfect castle. So yeah, I've always wanted to do this one. It's really fun. And like I said, before obviously before I guess, well, because I'm going to jump off and probably try like a couple different channels, and dip my feet in other channels to see what I think of them. If I want to do more videos on different channels and stuff. But I wanted to get this one out of the way because I've been wanting to do it, and I have time to do it right now. So I'm just going to do it because it's just a one-off. It's not like this is part of a series. So when you have time, it's really easy to do these kind of videos when you don't have to do like extra parts. So anyways, if you're watching this, you guys must like castles too if you're watching this. And if you're lucky, you're watching this video from inside a castle. Yeah. But anyways, I guess we see in the video. And before you do, please hit that like and subscribe, guys. Please and thank you. And yeah.
In Europe's Middle Ages, castles dominated not just war.
Let's say that, like I said, I'm from Canada, but I live in the U.S. I have a residence card, a visa, whatever you want to call it, and but there's like in North America, there's no castles. I mean, there's forts and there's like fake castles, but like Europe is like the king of castles, man. Like I want to go in Europe so bad and visit a lot of castles, because I just think that's the coolest thing ever. And if you're living in a castle, that's got to be like the dream. But obviously, these things, the price tag, man, cannot be cheap, obviously. But anyways, yeah. I guess we gotta restart the video here. Dun, dun, dun.
In Europe's Middle Ages, castles dominated not just warfare, but society itself. Strongholds are as old as war, but the medieval castle was unique. A refuge and a projection of military force, a lordly residence and symbol of power, a centre of justice and government. Today, castle ruins are found from the Atlantic coast to the hills of Syria. Dramatic and poignant reminders of a lost feudal world. There was no
world, probably like chaos, and like just that time period has got to be like the most interesting time period in history. The period of castles and all that stuff. Like knights and kings. Like that's the coolest time period ever. When those series go on Netflix, I jump on them. I love the medieval times TV shows. This stuff is great.
Feudal world. There was no single blueprint for the castle.
No?
Every one was unique. But by analysing key trends over 4 centuries, Epic History TV is proud to present its guide to building the perfect castle.
All right.
The medieval castle was the product of a feudal world. A world we'll explore with help from our video sponsor, Crusader Kings 3. Using the in-game map, we can zoom in on 9th century France, the birthplace of feudalism. This was a time when royal authority was in crisis, as Frankish kings, the heirs of Charlemagne, struggled to control unruly nobles and fight off Viking armies. Increasingly, the king would grant a piece of land, known as a fief, and the promise of protection to a lord. The lord became the king's vassal, swearing an oath of loyalty or fealty, and providing military service when required.
Okay.
These feudal lords began to build fortified bases across the land, in which to live and from which to impose their authority on their new domains. These were the first medieval castles. If you'd like to experience the challenge of feudal lordship for yourself, we can recommend Crusader Kings 3,
Here we go.
a new game from Paradox and our video sponsor. It's set in a richly detailed medieval in our video description to find out more.
Cool's like a cool game though. Both, yeah.
When building a new castle, the first and most important consideration is location.
Exactly.
A castle should dominate the landscape, with good views in all directions, so hills are ideal. Steep slopes and river bends can be used to limit approach routes, making the site easier to defend. And for building work, a local source of stone, wood and soil is essential, as transporting these materials over medieval roads is more expensive than the materials themselves.
Yeah, I can imagine.
There must also be a secure local source of fresh water and food to sustain the castle's occupants. A reliable starter castle is the Motte and Bailey, popular with the Normans, who built hundreds across England and Wales during the Norman conquest.
Huh.
The motte
Wow.
is a mound, either natural or built by hand, as seen here in the biotapestry. It's not just a pile of mud, though. These coloured bands are thought to represent alternating layers of stone and clay, which will increase stability. Sometimes they even used stone or timber foundations. A typical motte is 8 metres high and up to 50 metres across. Its top can be defended by a simple wooden palisade and a tower, living quarters for the lord and his entourage, and last refuge in case of attack.
Okay.
An earth ditch and palisade should enclose the bailey to protect important buildings such as a hall, stables, kitchen, stores, and a forge.
Cool,
Timber
man.
palisades are vulnerable to fire and rot, so will ideally be replaced by an enclosing stone wall, known as a curtain.
Yeah, obviously, like you say, you depends on like how important you are, how much money you got. If you're not that high on the ladder, you have to have wood. But like I said, like they can easily catch fire, but it's better than nothing. It's kind of cool, just I bet people would start off, and then just like kind of like a video game, you just upgrade, as I guess your wealth, it depends on how I guess your life, whatever. Anyways, I don't know what I'm talking about.
So will ideally be replaced by an enclosing stone wall, known as a curtain wall, as soon as possible.
Yeah.
This creates the enceinte, or main defensive enclosure. A curtain wall should have crenellations to protect soldiers of the garrison during an attack, as they shoot their bows or crossbows at the enemy. A concealed postern gate, or sally port, can be used during a siege to smuggle messages in and out of the castle, or to launch surprise attacks on the enemy.
Huh. But yeah, having that, like I said, if I built my own castle, like I said, where they had the archers up there, I'd want that like all around. It'd just be really cool.
In parts of France, such as Anjou and Poitou, castle builders ignored the motte and bailey approach and constructed strong stone towers. In French, it's called a donjon, the origin of the word dungeon. In England, it's known as the keep. A keep offers better security and accommodation than a wooden tower. But if you try to build one on top of a motte, its weight will cause it to collapse.
Oh, okay.
Some opt for a compromise, a shell keep, which keeps the motte and replaces its wooden palisade with a circular stone wall.
Huh.
But a truly imposing keep will have to be built from scratch on carefully prepared foundations. A typical early stone keep is rectangular, between 2 and 4 stories high, with walls up to 6 meters thick.
Wow.
Construction might take up to 10 years and cost a fortune, so large keeps are only built by monarchs and powerful nobles.
Yeah, I'd say.
The biggest keeps have towers at each corner. Within, there might be a hall for meals and entertainment, private apartments, a chapel, and storerooms. A forebuilding creates an impressive and well-guarded entrance, which should be at first floor level, accessed by a wooden staircase, which can be removed in case of attack.
Ah, okay.
If the keep has a cellar, this is an ideal space to store extra provisions, not for chaining up prisoners in the dungeons of popular imagination.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, obviously there'd probably be a jail in a castle, and maybe I guess there might be like a dungeon, but it was, to me, it would seem like a waste of space, because space is like probably already limited inside a castle, so you'd want to make sure every part is, like, I don't know, useful, and you wouldn't want this big waste of space of a dungeon. You probably, if someone did something wrong, you'd probably just kick them out or kill them already. You wouldn't just, I guess, storm away. But I'm sure there's a tiny cell somewhere in a castle, but not like the dungeon. I don't know.
Up prisoners in the dungeons of popular imagination. Early keeps are square or rectangular, but later come in many shapes and sizes. King Philippe Augustus of France was particularly fond of circular keeps. Perhaps the most eye-catching of all is Castel del Monte in southern Italy, built by Emperor Frederick II. Its elaborate polygonal structure reminds us that the perfect castle must be elegant as well as formidable.
That is cool. Can you get on the roof? Like, you think that maybe they'd add on, what they have with where defender, where you can go up there and kind of shoot people from above. Maybe you can, but I can't see it. But it's good, the design. It's kind of cool, the designs they come up with. What's that? Yeah.
The curtain wall should be strengthened by flanking towers at regular intervals. These project forward from the wall, so archers can shoot at attacking enemies with enfilade fire, or put another way, attackers will come under fire from the wall ahead of them, as well as from towers to the right and left.
That's cool.
Square towers offer large amounts of extra space for living quarters and storage, but their corners are a weak point that can be targeted by enemy stone-throwing artillery, such as a trebuchet. So round towers may be a better option. The choice is often one of taste, fashion, and/or cost. Square towers, round towers, and D-shaped towers were all common across Europe, and many castles feature a mix of types. In some places, it was possible to cut costs by reusing old Roman fortifications, as at Pevensey and Portchester on England's south coast. Here, the Normans simply built a stone keep within the walls of an old Roman shore fort, saving time, labour and money.
Smart.
Loopholes, or arrow slits, are important additions for any tower or wall section. The earliest versions are simple vertical slits, but from the 14th century, more decorative cross shapes are common. In the event of a siege, wooden hoardings, sometimes called brattice work, can be built out over the walls to allow the garrison to rain boiling water and rocks onto the attacking enemy.
Damn. You see it all the time in movies. Almost there. Huh?
The obvious focus for an attack is the castle's main gate, so its defences, known as the gatehouse, must be especially strong. The ideal solution is to add towers on each side of the gateway, to add an outer and inner gate, and at least one, if not several, portcullises. These metal lattice gates can be dropped vertically to trap attackers in a kill zone. The garrison can then use murder holes in the ceiling and walls to finish off the intruders.
Damn! I've seen that in movies. That's gotta be like a gruesome, horrible way to die, especially if that thing lands on you. Man, just stuck there, and then they probably dropping maybe oil on you or rocks on you, and they got arrows at you. Man, what a way to go. Oh, damn.
And walls to finish off the intruders. The main gate can be further protected by a drawbridge over the outer moat or ditch, which can be raised by chains as an enemy approaches.
All right.
Through the Middle Ages, gatehouses became increasingly powerful, with multiple drawbridges, gates, and portcullises. The approach covered by looming towers, and every wall and ceiling studded with loopholes and murder holes.
Damn.
Some of the most formidable gatehouses are found in the castles built by Edward I to subdue Wales in the late 13th century. Such imposing wall defences began to make a massive keep seem superfluous, so many of these castles were built without a keep at all. Our castle is now an imposing fortress, able to withstand a siege of several months, if properly provisioned. But to be considered truly epic, a castle should have a second curtain wall, enclosing an outer bailey, with its own towers and gatehouse. Gatehouses should be positioned at angles to the approach route, so any attacker has to twist and turn, rather than make a direct rush at the gate. Towers and walls should now feature stone machicolations for dropping rocks on the enemy, far more sophisticated than temporary wooden hoardings. The new outer bailey, or ward, allows more buildings to be brought within the castle's defences, not forgetting that a medieval castle is as much a residence as fortification. Perhaps a new, grander hall for entertaining your household and important guests, kitchen gardens, and extra living quarters. The outer ditch or moat can be flooded with water to create an extra layer of defence. A water moat also has decorative value and can be a source of fresh fish. A final flourish, a barbican, an outlying fortification that adds yet another layer of defence to the main entrance. This is now a fine and formidable example of a concentric castle. Its design will force any attacker to overcome successive layers of strong defence to reach the final refuge, the keep. If properly garrisoned and supplied, a castle like this was virtually impregnable until the age of gunpowder.
That's true. That's awesome, man. So awesome.
As we have seen, there was no single blueprint for the medieval castle. Each was built to take advantage of the landscape, to incorporate the latest military thinking, and reflect regional styles and personal taste. The most awe-inspiring examples from the castle's golden age include KRAK des Chevaliers, the supposedly impregnable crusader fortress of the Knights Hospitaller; Dover Castle, known as the Key to England;
That's cool.
and MALBORK Castle, the gigantic brick-built headquarters of the Teutonic Knights.
Look at that.
By the 15th century, the castle's role was in steep decline, in part due to the rise of gunpowder weapons, such as cannon, but more fundamentally because the feudal world that gave rise to the castle had fallen away, to be replaced by professionalized armies and centralized royal authority. As the age of powerful feudal lords ended, so too did the age of the castle. Most would ultimately slide into ruin, their military role replaced by artillery forts, their residential role taken over by palaces and stately homes, as the age of the castle gave way to the age of the chateau.
The palaces took, over. Oh,
Thanks
man.
again to our video sponsor, Crusader.
Yeah, it's like when the world's like in chaos, and you don't know when you could be attacked. Castle's great, but then once it I guess got more like political, and then getting gunpowder, obviously because then you can the walls can just be like broken down. I get it, kind of did away with it. It's kind of cool though. I'm glad a lot of countries preserved their castles because I think it's definitely like a big important time in history, and so yeah, that's really cool. A lot of the stuff they had there kind of pretty much what I kind of had in mind, but it's kind of cool to see the visuals of it, and I'm really glad they actually showed castles from much different countries, and yeah, like they're like ones that are on top of like almost like a steep hill or mountain. Like I don't know if those castles ever got broken into, or I guess taken over, because how? I mean, but yeah, definitely cool and interesting video. I'm glad I watched it, and yeah, finally watched it. Like, geez, I've been looking at that video for the last like month and a half, and just now, getting to watch it because I said, "The hell with it," because I was like, I'm gonna watch this on my own time. So nope, you're gonna do a video on it, and so I did the video today. So I'm happy now, and I hope you guys enjoyed it too, because these castles are just awesome. And one of the videos I do, a lot of these medieval videos I do. I mean, all these places had castles. When we watched, like Alexander the Great and like Crusades, they had castle. I mean, they weren't, I guess, what they were ended up what they ended up becoming, but it's cool, sieges and all that stuff, wars like that, just very interesting stuff, and castles are a big part of that stuff. But anyways, guys, I hope you liked this video. Please hit that like and subscribe, guys. Have a lot of fun doing these videos, and I hope you guys enjoy them along with me. So I appreciate that, and yeah, I'll catch you guys in future video, guys. Thanks for watching.